Good evening. Welcome to Voices of the Rainbow. Today we continue our conversation with metaphysical activity, psychic phenomenon, and paranormal investigations. And we have Sharon Hartman with us tonight, and Dan, as we all know. We're very fortunate to have Sharon here. Sharon possesses quite a number of talents that she's been able to hone on to, and she's given us the opportunity to discuss a little bit with Dan some of the insights that she had when she first met him coming to the studios this evening. So
we're going to try it. It was like amazing. When we just shook hands, and immediately she knew that I was HIV positive, and she knew that I was stable, which I'm going to the National Institute of Health next week because they feel like I may have one of the mutant genes that they can actually get a vaccine from, because I have had no symptoms at all for the last 10 to 15 years. And then we were beginning talking about relationships, and she described Michael. Exactly. You know, I said, that's Michael, whenever you started talking about it, and you saw him when he was healthy, not when he...
A lot of times we'll see people in what they call the soul mold. The soul mold is how they saw themselves in peak condition. So what I saw was Michael when he was in his peak condition. There's something about a gene, I have no idea. When you said genes, what I did pick up, if they do any type of color coding, it will be an orange color because it flashed when you were talking about genes. I do not even know what the genes look like, but some kind of orange. So have them do some type of test where they do fluorescent changing of colors. I do not know if they do that.
It's with the DNA. They said that they found out last year that 2 persons who were HIV negative but are high risk, they found out possessed 2 mutant genes that was keeping them from getting the virus. And then they began checking those that were HIV positive and yet were long-term non-progressors. And they found out that I had a mutant gene. And then last week when I talked to him, my case is perhaps the most unusual because my T-cell count went up from 1,200 to 1,400 last year, and my viral load was 500. For those that don't understand that, when you have viral load that's high, that's whenever AIDS is replicating, even though you're HIV asymptomatic. But I was asking questions, and you were just starting to answer things, like when I asked about my book and things like that. So we were going to try. We don't know whether it's going to...
On the norm, I do not read. I have readers that... that's how
you were explaining the difference between reading and telepath.
It's actually all the same thing. It's a different way to get to it. Like some people use cards, some people use palmistry, some people use runes, the rune stones. But what it is they are tools because not everyone's visual. So when you lay out cards, the cards tell you visually what it is that you're looking at. And in my particular case, mine is touch. I can touch someone and get pictures. Not everyone do I get pictures from. Not every psychic can read every single person. A lot of people get nervous around it or say, oh no, I do not want to be around psychics. When we're not using our talents, we're not picking up on you, we're not telling you. It's like when we shook hands, automatically I did not blurt out, oh, yo, this, and this. I waited until you had said something, then I talked to you about it.
And the one thing that I thought was really interesting, and I want to pursue this just a little bit because it was so amazing, is shortly after Michael died, I've had a lot of, I feel like Michael has really talked to me several times since then. And one of the times I was really struggling because I've been wanting to have a relationship. It was like Michael's and mine were the ultimate. We were very much one. And he said, well, I had to leave because finding a mate for you is going to be a full-time job. And it was amazing when I mentioned that the first person that you described was Michael. So I was wanting to know if you had any other impressions or anything else that you've...
The impression that I got was I had thought the one I was telling you about was your mate, but apparently Michael is still major, and he will be major. But I believe in about 2 to 2.5 years, you will find exactly what you're going for. And a lot of their actions are going to be like Michael. That's what's going to attract you to him. You're going to see him, they're going to be walking, and you're going to do a double take, because somewhere in your mind you're going to think, Michael, you know, do not only go by that, by your feelings towards this person who's so much like Michael. Go by your intuitive feelings of how you feel about this person, because remember, do not make them Michael. Allow them to be themselves. That's where you'll run into problems. But they're going to be an awful lot like Michael, but they are not going to be Michael. And you will actually be very, very happy with them. They will help you. They will promote your book. They will give you motivation. They will be your motivating factor. But they're going to come out of somewhere you never even thought of. It's going to be thin blue air, and you're going to be surprised. And they're not poor. They'll be able to sustain you.
One of the things that I'm also looking at is I have 2 children right now. I have one that's having a little bit of a problem. And I'm really concerned about this one. I don't know whether you get anything from that or...
I would say by the age of the child, their hormones are what's giving them a little bit of a problem.
Yes, definitely.
What I would suggest to do, if you could at all do it, if you could make a tape at night that tells them all the positive things, like if they are really getting you upset over the way they're treating other people, like if they're a bully or if they're not picking up after themselves or they're talking back or whatever, put it in a context of, when I awaken in the morning, I will wake up happy and calm.
The problem that I've got is that he's not with me. She's not with me. Both my children are with their mother in Cortez, and that's part of the problem is that at one point they wanted to be with me and we weren't able to be that.
I think that she would be receptive enough, because he actually is getting to the place where he's on her last nerve too, you know. None of us are saints when it comes to children. We give it our best shot, and so we do the best that we can. And one way of implementing good things to a child is they do not always listen to us when the only time we have is discipline time. So in their sleep, they will do that. They will be more receptive in alpha level.
Okay, now the one thing, because I'm very interested in this, I've just been really thinking about is, can you explain a little bit about what, you're saying that telepath and psyche is pretty much the same, but there's difference. What does a telepath do? Is it...
Telepathy is communicating from mind to mind. Okay, by saying that they're the same, we pick up surface thoughts.
Okay.
We pick up, in my case, touching you, shaking your hand, whatever. I get pictures of what you've been doing in the last day or two, sometimes in the last hour or two. It depends on what's in your surface thought.
Have you added any pictures in the last day or two of what I've done?
The last day or two, you've been bumming over some kind of... Somebody really bummed you over something. It was a real good friend. I would say brown to dark hair, and they said something that hurt your feelings, but I do not believe that they meant it in the context. It's like sometimes we think something through, it sounds really good, we just whip it out and it's on the table and we go, oops. Do not talk to them. Do not take it as gospel, because I do not believe that that's what they meant, and that's been real heavy on your mind, because they are a good friend. And you're thinking, why would they say that? Why would they do that? I believe that they were trying to get to something that they were trying to tell you, but did not say it in a way that was proper. But I think that's been mostly on your mind for the last day or two.
Okay.
We're going to have to wind this conversation up. Yes. Thank you very much, Dan. We'll be right back.
Okay.
There's a lot of bad news in the world. Here's some good. Warren Zorek brought an elderly fire survivor her medication. 28 stories up, no elevator. Elaine King breathed life into a stranger's dying baby boy. Kristen Zimke resuscitated a dying man who collapsed in a crowd. Help us keep the good news coming. Give your time and support to the American Red Cross now, because help can't wait.
Hay muchas malas noticias en el mundo. Aquí hay unas buenas. Warren Zorek le trajo su medicación a una anciana sobreviviente de incendio, 28 pisos arriba, sin elevador. Cuando el bebé de una desconocida moría, Elaine King le respiró vida. Kristen Zimke resucitó a un hombre que moría después de haber sufrido un colapso. Haga que sigan las buenas noticias. Llame al 1-800-HELP NOW y dé su tiempo y apoyo a la Cruz Roja Americana ahora mismo, porque la ayuda no puede esperar.
Welcome back to the Voices of the Rainbow. We're here with Karen and Sharon, and we're going to discuss a little bit more paranormal pictures that we have with Karen.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just went the other night to a home and discovered something on one of the lamps, and it's a blurry, like, I don't know what you would call it, but it extends more so than a regular lamp. What I'll do is I'll go back with the same camera, same film, and try taking the picture again to see if that comes out. But you really, you know, before you tell somebody that it's paranormal, you've really got to double check, unless you know in your heart. I just wanted to show that there's a chance, but I do need to go back on that.
That's why we say do like mirrors and different parts of your house every couple of months, so you can see the changes. That's how you can tell if they're...
That's a real good idea. Because that's something in your house, you always are there. Whereas the haunted houses and stuff, you're not always able to go back to.
Well, can the spirits kind of come in and out? Because I live very close to Cheeseman Park, where, there's 3,000 bodies
Oh, yeah.
buried. Is that possible?
Never alone.
Right? Is that I would catch a different kind of...
Yes, you can. It depends, too, if you're open. Not all of us are open. A lot of us, it's bred out of us at childhood. We're all born psychic. We're all born with the ability. But Mama telling us over and over again, no, you cannot walk through walls. All of a sudden, astral projection is pretty much out of the question. You know? It has to be retrained into you when it's a natural ability. So if you're receptive and you're open, yes, they can come in, and you can see them and go back. And I would check periodically, especially living that close.
Now, Robert is so receptive that I brought him to the Forney Museum.
Karen took me on a ghost investigation the other week.
That was fun. It was a little cold.
It was really interesting.
One thing I noticed about Robert is that he started to sense things by saying, oh, the hair on my neck's going up.
It was a really weird feeling,
Took pictures and videotaped whenever he would react like that.
We would get into a certain spot or place in the Forney Museum, and I didn't really know how to define it, but I did feel like there was a sense of like somebody rubbing a long fingernail right behind my neck. And
that's the part of everyone has different talents. Some people taste, smell, touch, and you pick up that way.
And he did really good, because
really
when
bizarre.
I snapped pictures, here's a orb on this one, and it's very small, I know, for the camera, but we've got about 4 of these pictures, and Robert had picked up 2, and you did real good.
Well, yeah, what we did is we got some film. I used my own camera, I mean, that I've had for quite a while. Karen had her Polaroid and her film and her video recorder, and we would just go about taking pictures where there was a certain sense or feeling that there was something else, especially when I got this certain sense for me. I thought, gosh, I should take some pictures. And interesting enough, there were some objects on that, and it, you know, it was my camera, it was my film. I mean, there was nothing obviously that was done to the camera or the film or anything like that. And there was that the feeling that I had.
Right.
So I'm making a believer out of me, I'll tell you. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And I'm glad Robert could pick up on it. I could not pick up on too much there. It was very cold. And I used my temperature thing, and it was 47 degrees out in the main part of it. So I was glad to have you along. Thanks.
Right. Oh, my pleasure, you know.
Well, here's something that usually is an explanation for this. This is quite common, and Sharon, do you know the reason why this is quite common paranormal? This white spiral going down? What would cause that? Going across? I mean, as far as developing error.
Oh, film strap.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is what might the film strap or the camera strap or the video strap going across there. When it's close to the lens, it makes a spiral curve thing. And what I need to do now is go back and check the video to see if I have the strap on my neck or on my wrist. And so we'll know better.
What's so interesting is that you're so analytical about the whole process. I mean, it's obvious that, you know, you're not, you know, making a sales pitch. You're not making any money from this sort of thing at all. Absolutely just the opposite, you know. And you're being just as critical about the photographs that you receive or that you see as anybody, even more critical, as a matter of fact.
I am so curious. I just want to get answers, and it gets a little frustrating. But I know there's things out there. I've been scratched and bitten by invisible things.
Right.
I've been touched. I can hear voices. I can smell the smells. So I know they're there. It's just having to prove it to the rest of the world.
Right.
And I have to be very analytical, or else one mess up and who's going to believe you?
And it seems you're just being really open and allowing, you know, and telling other people, here, grab a camera and go ahead and take some pictures for yourself and see what happens. And let's just try to discover together what this is, because these sort of phenomenon obviously exist. I mean, it doesn't just happen to those of us sitting here.
Right. And it really helps the more you share, and the more you share your knowledge of what film you've used, or to tape up the light leaks in your camera, things like that. Then the next person doesn't have to go through all of that. And maybe somehow we can all work together and figure out a better way of communicating with these spirits that are trying to communicate with us, and find out what's going on.
And help define that, you know.
One thing I've found is a lot of times on movie sets, I'm a stunt woman.
Right.
I bring my camera and I pick up an awful lot of paranormal. And on the Dick Van Dyke Diagnosis Murder set, which they were here filming for a year, I picked up these orbs on these two pictures. This one is a lot clearer. And on the rest of the roll of film, there wasn't anything, so it wasn't like something on the lens.
Those are
This is at Washington Park.
Oh, wow.
And so, but anyways, I've got several other, it seems like the energy level brings it in. Do you agree with that? When the excitement, everybody's happy, they're working, they're getting paid. You know, the level is real.
Where's the camera? Well, we've got some. I mean, but, you know.
Birthday parties, Christmas, you tend to pick up more activity, and why is that?
It's not just happy times too. It's sad times too. There's a real thin line between love and hate, and happy and sorrow. Their emotion levels are the same. It's just that they're from one side to the other. High emotion, any way you look at it, draws in psychic phenomena in one form or another. Because it's like you're a magnet. You have energy.
Right.
And a lot of times they need your energy or energy around you to get it to where they can cross over and show up or come in. You know, and we do exude energy sometimes. You know, even when we're bumming, when we can put out just as much energy. It's negative energy, but they can use it just the same.
It's just that you don't tend to pick up your camera so often, I think, when you're low rather than high.
Right. But especially high things like Christmas and good stuff like that, you're more apt to be having a camera.
Speaking of the, let's see, I don't know if you can get this one. This is the graveyard in Roswell when we were documenting UFOs, and my husband's family, some of his family's buried there. So I went to go check because he just couldn't. And it was a quiet place for me to go, and I don't mind. Anyways, there is a very slight figure of a human being here. And what I had done is just gone to his father's and his sister's grave and talked, did my thing. And then I came back and I stopped at this grave because it says Barbara on it. And I know this sounds silly, but one of the psychics said that one of the ghosts in our house is named Barbara. So I stopped and took a picture of this. So I don't know if this figure is from what. But I
be
just
the
thought,
same Barbara.
you know, it's just, right. Could be, well, this was a baby, but I guess that doesn't matter. But they can be big, small.
And they do not have to be on trains to get to your house. It's like blink.
Right.
That's true.
I like that part best.
We're running out of time for tonight, but I wanted to say, is there anything you might want to add about the Rising Phoenix, which is which you own actually? And
yeah, we do have. I do have interpreting for the hearing impaired with any readings or anything that you have done or questions. And we have psychics, different psychics every day with different talents. And we have a psychic fair coming up the 8th and 9th of March. And you're welcome to come down and ask questions, or if you have something you'd like investigated, we can get a hold of Karen, or you can get a hold of Karen, and we can all go look at it together.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, that would be fun. And Karen actually is on the internet, so...
Right, our website is www.roswellrods.com. Sharon's store, my husband and I discussing UFOs and ghosts.
Yeah, we have the only Art Bell chat club across the nation, and they're meeting this Saturday, March 1st from 6 to 9, and then it'll be again the 15th of March, and again the 29th of March. So if you have any questions, give a call to the shop. But we do discuss this open forum.
Sharon Hartman, Karen Escamilla, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Voices of the Rainbow. We'll see you next time. Good night. Thank God. And I had one right in my neck, and my neck is what feels the grip.
Oh, did you see that light flash up there? What is that?
Is there a flash, a light flash?
There's something moving around up there. There's definitely something.
Oh, I just saw something go by.
What is it?
I don't know, like a moth, but it wasn't a moth. You know what I mean? Like a light.
Did you see that stuff going by up there?
Yes, let's see if I can.
Oh, there it went.
Oh, cool.
Did you see that?
And so I saw a shadow coming up, and somebody knocked, and so I'm sitting in bed, and I said, "Who is it?" And nobody answered. And so then they walked to the end of the door, and I was waiting to hear them open it, but they didn't. And they walked back, and they stood at the door, and I saw the shadow, and then as soon as I got up and came to the door, they like walked away, so I opened it real quick, and there was nothing there.
You look down the hallway and everything.
Looked down the hallway, and there's no place.
People come in and say, "Oh, this house is haunted." You know, they say this house is haunted.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it is haunted. I've always thought it was haunted.
Wow.
But how shall I put it? I get along well with them or something. Yeah. And I've also seen the rocking chair rock, but I've never seen anyone in the rocking chair. But I have seen it go back